Welcome to the 44th video in our series about Unix tools. In this video, I will show you how to run the debugger. But first, let's review some of what we have recently learned. The -G option to GCC enables debugging information. The -O0 option to GCC asks GCC to avoid optimization. Sometimes it obeys, and sometimes it still optimizes. In our case, printf of a constant literal string is converted to use puts even when we ask GCC to avoid optimization. When we have debugging information in an object file, a .o file, it might be compressed. To show it, even if it is compressed, use the -xsd gz options to objdump. Those gz options are new to us. By default, on some modern systems, objdump will colorize output. That looks horrible, especially on a light background or when using a projector. To disable that senseless, ugly, low contrast, awful behavior, use the disassembler color equal off option to objdump. Okay, let's see what we've got. We've still got our hello with debugging information. I told you there is a debugger, and we're going to learn about it today. First, what is a debugger? A debugger is a special tool that runs your program and allows you to run it line by line and inspect data anytime you want to. So let's do it. GDB hello. And when it starts, you get this long introductory material with awful colorization. And again, let's immediately quit and ask GDB if there's some way to disable this hideous colorization. So you start less and you use a slash and you search for color, and it doesn't show anything. And you think, oh no, I'm in trouble now. Try another spelling. Try the British UK spelling. Still not there. So it looks like we may have no control over this colorization. So like a good worker bee, we just have to keep on going and hope for the best. So start this up, and then we can type in list. And list shows us the source code for the hello file. And then we can say start, or step, really. We're going to do step. And it says it's not being run. I can't step if I'm not running. And so we say run. It ran the whole thing and we never got the step. You could see the output, hello BUU. And it tells us that the program exited normally, there was no crash. So how can we make it stop somewhere so we can step line by line? What you have to do is you have to issue a break, and you have to tell it where you want to break. You can either break on a line number, but those might change if you modify the code. I'm trying to highlight one. Or you can break on a function name, and that's a lot more reliable. So let's break on main, and that tells the debugger, hey, when you get to main, stop and let me type a command. So we're going to try run again, and you can see breakpoint 1 in the main function in hello.c on line 5, and it does a break right here before we call greet. And at this point we can say step, and it will, as you can see, it jumped inside of helpers.c greet function, which is on line 5. And if we do a list right now, you can see, oh, I'm in the greet file now. I'm not in hello.c. I'm inside the greet file, and I'm on line 5. And if I step, I get my output, hello BUU. If I step again, you can see I'm back in main in the hello C file on line 6, where we return exit success to terminate the program. And if I step through that, you can see it goes to line 7, and it now is in some function we never heard of. Just type C to finish up the program. C is for continue. And continue says, hey, keep running until the next breakpoint or the end of the program, whichever comes first. Since we only had one breakpoint on main, it will run until the end of the program. And you say, how did you know about S? How did you know about C? How did you know about list? How did you know about break? If you type help, you'll see a long list of choices. And they tell you help followed by a class name will zoom in. They've got so much help, they're trying to make it fit on a small screen. So this is sort of like a top level list, and you can zoom in. So let's take a look. Breakpoints. We were trying to learn about those. So let's say help breakpoints. And it says, oh, you can do a break, which we did, set breakpoint at a specified location, and we used a function name. And there's lots of other things that we could do. And it says type return for more or Q to quit, C to continue without paging, which will scroll everything. So best job right now is to press the return key. And you can see we could delete a breakpoint. We can disable a breakpoint, which leaves it but turns it off right now. Enable undoes the disable. They've got some specified fancy hardware assisted things. We've got skip, which tells it to ignore some function while we're stepping if we know the function's good. Wow. All that stuff. How do we get a list of all the breakpoints? And it says I set a new breakpoint. Wow, that did not help. So you can see that trying to figure out how to use GDB just from the online help is not going to be easy. The online help is there to remind you if you already have studied about GDB. But if you've never looked at it before, it's going to be confusing. Running. That's the other thing we had to do, was run the program. And you saw somewhere I did a continue. I used the C, which was to run to the end of the program. There's an N for step the program through subroutine calls. There's step 1 instruction with NI. We didn't use those. And then there's step, which says step program until it reaches a different source line. The difference between step and in or next is next goes to the next instruction of machine code if you were looking at the assembly code. Step goes to the next line or the next statement of your C program if we were debugging C. And SI will do one instruction at the C level, but if you had a semicolon on the line and you put 2 or 3 statements on one line, it would do them one at a time. Wow. Okay. I told you Q is for quit. We've learned about Q for quit. We've learned about S for step, C for continue, and B for break. We tried to get a list of the breakpoints, and we didn't know how. And I said, trying to learn that from the online help would be difficult. Don't worry. Come back for the next video and I'll show you how to do it. Thank you for listening.